Good afternoon to all our listeners. I am Tracy Marshall, President of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, and this is Talking Business with ICAB. Earlier this month, representatives of the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, visited Barbados to conduct a review of our country. You may have seen the articles in the local press regarding this visit, and we are awaiting the results of this month's review. You may not be familiar with the FATF, but hopefully, by the end of this program, you will have a better understanding of who they are and why their visit to our shores was so important. As per their website, the FATF, or Financial Action Task Force, leads global action to tackle money laundering, terrorist and proliferation financing. The body sets international standards to ensure national authorities can effectively go after illicit funds linked to drug trafficking, the illicit arms trade, cyber fraud, and other serious crimes. There are 39 member countries of the FATF. Now, Barbados is not a member of the FATF, but it is a member of the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, which is an associate member of the FATF. Through its reviews, the FATF publishes countries with weak measures to combat anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. These are commonly referred to as the blacklist and the grey list. The blacklist includes countries that the FATF believes have serious deficiencies to combat anti-money laundering and terrorist financing. The grey list includes countries that the FATF has assessed as having strategic deficiencies, but is actively working to address those deficiencies. As such, the FATF closely monitors them to ensure that any commitments that have been made to address the deficiencies are actioned timely. Barbados, as at the end of October, when the last lists were published, is on the grey list. Now, why do we care that Barbados is on the grey list? Well, the grey list signals to the global financial system to exercise caution when conducting business with countries on the list. Being on the grey list can deter investors from considering Barbados as a place to invest, and we know that foreign direct investment brings growth opportunities for our economy. Recent information made available by the Central Bank of Barbados indicated that our global business sector is the second largest contributor to our gross domestic product after tourism and contributed approximately 70% of our total taxes collected by the government. Being on the grey list directly impacts this sector. However, the domestic sectors are not immune to the impact of being on the list. Being on the grey list may result in higher borrowing costs for Barbados from development partners and for Barbadian companies which may seek financing from multinational financial institutions. So how does Barbados get off this grey list? Well, we have a saying in Barbados that begins with the words, "It takes a village," and you all know it. To combat anti-money laundering and terrorist financing, it takes everyone being aware of what anti-money laundering and terrorist financing is, and ensuring that the appropriate checks and balances are in place to protect our companies and our country. The compliance unit is the anti-money laundering unit in Barbados, and a visit to their website can provide you with an understanding of the legislation and guidelines for anti-money laundering in Barbados. The compliance unit conducts sectoral training throughout the year and performs audits of persons and entities, including accountants and their firms, to ensure that the legislation and guidelines required are being adhered to. ICAB as well has annual training for its members to ensure that chartered accountants in Barbados are aware of some of the current schemes being used by bad actors to circumvent the law, and to understand their role in making sure Barbados has a reputation as a safe place to do business. So we eagerly look forward to the announcement of the results of the review and hope that Barbados is able to demonstrate that its government regulators, service providers, banking and financial institutions, and even the dealers of precious metals have the appropriate systems and knowledge to combat anti-money laundering and financing of terrorism. I am Tracy Marshall, and this is Talking Business with ICAB.